Are you going into lodge afterwards? Hello, Talkin fight fans. Welcome once again to another episode of The Scoop featuring the champ, Bola Ray. And you're talking about robberies. Part two. I'll leave it in your hands. Go ahead. What do you got for us?
Not just robberies. Robberies to one man and one man alone. This was a problem. This was an astronomical problem. The tradition to the professional ranks is a choice that many amateur fighters choose to steer clear of, with good reason. The common thought process is whenever there's big money involved or attached to athletics, the ugly side of humanity rears her head. And yeah, it happens way too often. It just does. I can attest to this firsthand. That this side of the sport of boxing truly does exist. Now, today's episode this episode is on the very first of three blatant robberies that was done to one man. May history punish the guilty. Yeah. My name is Bola Raymond Olubuwale, and this is The Scoop. Pernell Whitaker was fresh off his gold medal winning 1984 Los Angeles Summer Games win, and the world took notice of his amazing gifts. Starting his professional campaign with 15 straight wins and no losses, 9 knockouts, he was gifted with his first world title shot against one Jose Luis Ramirez. Now, this guy was an utter legend already. Starting his career at 15 years of age at featherweight. By the time Purnell stepped into the ring with him, now, Purnell had a respectable record of 15-0 with wins over Roger Mayweather and Raphael Williams, where Purnell was knocked down and came back to win a unanimous decision. Ramirez had a record of 100 wins and 6 losses. Just a smidge more fight experience than young Purnell. He was a seasoned fighter, having controversial loss against Alexis Arguero, won the WBC lightweight title over Puerto Rico Edwin El Chapo Rosario in their second dance. And that was an exciting fight in its own right. After he was knocked down twice, he got up, knocked Ramirez or Rosario down in the 4th round, and then went to work, and the ref stopped the fight. Now, this fight was ranked Fight of the Year by Ring Magazine for 1987. It was no small feat. The fight right after this fight, the big talk was Ramirez versus Purnell. And they were able to, they being Shelly Finkel, Purnell's manager, was able to line up the fight and get the sanctioning body, the WBC, to sanction the fight in October of 87. Now, November of 87, one well-known fighter by the name of Julio Cesar Chavez beat Edwin Rosario for the WBA title 1 month after that other fight had been sanctioned. Following the win, it was uncharacteristically rumored that Jose Sullivan, who is the president of the WBC, was interested in a unification bout between the two Mexicans. And Sullivan had also went and put Chavez as the #1 contender in the rankings. Now, this was odd because this had never happened before. Sullivan was staunchly against ranking the champions of the WBA and the IBF in his rankings. But because they're both Mexicans, he took a liking to this, being Mexican himself, and saw this as a huge win for the country of Mexico. Soon after this Chavez scenario, Chavez had won the fight. Don King went and lined up the fight between Chavez and Ramirez. Well, come on now. David Downs was an executive with ABC Sports, and they had the rights to the Pernell Whitaker Ramirez fight. So they raised a stink. What's going on? This fight was promised to us. Well, Sullivan then goes off and says, well, no, it's not. Actually, contractually, it was. So Sullivan goes and rescinds his sanctioning of Chavez versus Ramirez and does the right thing. He gives it to Pernell and Ramirez. So be it. Now, March 12th, 1988 was the big day. And the fight was held in the Volios, France. I hope I'm saying that right. An executive from WBC confronted Whitaker and pushed a contract in his face, stating, in the event that he wins this fight tonight, his next fight will be against Chavez. Well, for the record, this is not how it's done, especially not the night before, not the night of the fight. So Whitaker rationally, responsibly, and correctly declined to sign the contract. The fight begins. Round 1 was a feeling out round for both southpaws. And it was also a rather telling round. Purnell looked like Ramirez, not even 2.0, but 10.0. Two southpaws. Purnell stayed on the outside, counterpunching him like crazy. danced circles around him, and Ramirez was attempting in his flat-footed way to catch Purnell, but was hitting nothing but air time and time and time again. Now, this scenario continued on right on to the 6th and 7th round, where I gave Ramirez those 2 rounds solely because he increased his punch rate, his work rate, bigger punch combinations, and yes, he tagged him. Pernell didn't falter at all. He didn't change of speed or anything. He got caught with a couple of shots because there were bigger punch combinations. So be it. But come the 8th round, it looked like Ramirez took his foot off the gas due to he was getting tired. This work rate was unsustainable for the rest of the round, for the rest of the fight. So, and that just gave Pernell the opportunity to do what Pernell does, and he peppered him with that jab. He made it look easy. This is a 106 bout champion going up against a 15 bout challenger and getting taken to school. It was embarrassingly one-sided. I've never seen a fighter hit the air so much and so cleanly. Like, you tip your hat to him. God bless him. He did try. It's not like he just laid down and just took a shellacking. He did try, but Purnell just wasn't there every time that punch came. So this was the definition of boxing. Simply put, hit and not being touched. What can go wrong? It went the distance. The end of the 12th round came, and the scores were red. So you have Newton Campos scoring at 113 to 118 for Ramirez. What fight was he watching? Like, genuinely, what fight was he watching? Like, there's absolutely, positively, unequivocally no excuse for this. This was insanity. What fight was he watching? Judge Harry Gibbs scored the fight 117-113 Purnell. That's a respectable score. That makes sense. I can see that. Judge Louis Michel scores the fight 115-116 Ramirez. Again, what was he watching? This is absolute insanity. Like, they should be ashamed of themselves. Whitaker put an absolute clinic on, only to be met with complete and utter corruption. That was the bottom line. The Associated Press reported that Whitaker appeared to have an easy time from the start and was peppering the champ with his right jab throughout the fight. Boxing 88 scored the fight as 118 Whitaker, 111 Ramirez. For the record, I scored the fight 118 Whitaker, 110 Ramirez. We can justify those figures. This other nonsense makes no sense. The United Press International reported that Whitaker appeared to dominate the 12 rounds, continuously connecting with his right jab to the face of the champion in combinations and slipping most of Ramirez's punches. How can so many knowledgeable people see it one direction, only to have two of the three blind mice have such vastly different vantage points? This was nothing shy of a robbery. This is nothing shy of corruption. This is nothing shy of Solomon pushing the narrative of getting his two Mexican boys fighting for a unified title. Now, Lou Duva, who was Purnell's trainer, called Solomon a thief. And Shelley Finkel, Whitaker's manager, said Don King and Solomon fixed this fight. Now, Solomon then made the claim that he did nothing, and he sued them for $1 million, only to have the case dropped when Lou Duva made the public announcement that he has no evidence of the fight being fixed. I think the evidence is the fight itself. I think if these people were to go off and grow some stones and stand up, madness like this wouldn't be going on. This was a robbery. And this is the corruption right from the very top. The president of the WBC. I'm saying it. Come for me. If you, in boxing land, disagree with my take on things, please mention it in the comments. We'll deal with this. If you like this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, smash the notification so that you can hear me rant again real soon. My name's Bola. Well, it's your boy Bola. That's the scoop.
Ramirez, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe I shouldn't bring this up, but I'm going to anyway. I'm pretty sure he's from Sinaloa in Mexico.
Yeah.
And there have been many episodes on television, probably a few movies made about the various, shall we say, corrupt personnel from that region of Mexico.
Very much so.
It wouldn't, and we're talking the 80s. There was billions of dollars apparently flying back and forth.
There very much was. Actually, it was to be a phenomenal fight because, like I said, Ramirez was going into that fight with like 106 fights, and they wanted him to fight Chavez, which at the time had somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 some odd fights. And Chavez was undefeated. Like between the two of them, with like going on 200 fights, there was 6 losses. It was an impressive fight, but that doesn't make it right. Like they completely robbed this guy. He had, again, another road less traveled. Ramirez and Chavez were actually friends. They were smart. They trained at the same gym together. I couldn't imagine the energy in that gym. So, yeah.
Pretty cool. Wow. Sad story for Purnell, it is. But a great story for us, the listenership, and the fans certainly not aware of the politics. I certainly wasn't aware of the politics back in the 80s of the day, that's for sure. But as I said, having seen a few movies and a few TV programs of the northern area of Mexico, it's could well be a fixed fight. I don't know. You tend
Definitely
to
was.
you tend to think that these things don't happen. You don't want to believe it, but
Okay, exactly. But you can't stick your hand in the sand or your head in the sand forever.
right. And I'm glad you called them out, and we'll see what the fans' responses and comments. I hope we will get some feedback. But if you do, I'm sure you have done a quick Google search, you'll see a lot of people out there call it a very controversial fight, and obviously, yeah, they obviously side with you in terms of it should have gone Purnell's way. It didn't.
Precisely.
Why didn't it? All righty. Well, thanks very much. Appreciate that. We'll tomorrow night. It's Friday, so I'm sure you got a good episode lined up for us.
Yes.
Part 3.
Part 3.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Remember to like, share, subscribe. And if you're subscribing, make sure to ring that bell for notifications. And we appreciate you joining us. Cheers.
Cheers.